What's going on, Tom? How are you?
Good.
How are you?
I'm great. As you said, this is one of the most important days of the year for the community, for Dana-Farber, and it puts everything in perspective today.
We had Brock Holt in here earlier with Maddie's mom, Dawn. Maddie passed away in May. And Brock, of course, is one of the team captains for the Dana-Farber, the Jimmy Fund. Tom, I got to tell you, in the 16 years I've been doing this, that's as emotional as I've ever seen it in here.
Yeah.
It was amazing, and he's an amazing guy.
What is so encouraging is that the contributions that everybody makes to this really does save lives. And, you know, we've been at this for a while, and the relationship between the Jimmy Fund and the Red Sox is, I think, now 64 years old. But, you know, whether people give $5 or $500, you know, we've all been to Dana-Farber, and we see the results. And I was looking at statistics today that 80% of the children now who find out that they've got cancer survive, and it's through the great work of hospitals around the country, but especially Dana-Farber, where the work is extraordinary. And last week, I think I was talking to the new head of Dana-Farber, and just the progress that we're making is just extraordinary. So, you know, we're winning.
And we've seen the progress up close. When we talked to Dr. Sallin was in here a half hour ago, 40 minutes ago, and he's been at this since 1975. He said back in the day, you know, the prognosis or you know, you get a diagnosis, that was a death sentence in some ways. We've come a long way, and I'm sure you guys with the Red Sox have seen a lot of kids who you see the next year and the year after and the year after. So it's really, as you said, it's very encouraging.
And gratifying, as you said.
You know, Dale brought up Brock Holt, who we spoke to, Dustin Pedroia, who we spoke to. It must be something to see the players put that much passion and effort into it. And you can say, hey, this is our relationship with the Jimmy Fund, but not all players are going to necessarily take that on. It seems like a big group of the players love it, whether it's at spring training or going over to the clinic or whatever. It's become a big part of their lives.
Well, this is a great group of players, and I think they get a lot out of seeing the effect that, you know, these kids are struggling, and the joy that they get when they see Dustin Pedroia or Brock Holt. So I think they know that they're making a small difference in what is a real challenging time for many of these patients.
Annie McNamara, who was just in here just before you, and was treated for myelodysplastic syndrome. Her folks own the Portland Sea Dogs. And thankfully, you know, is able to come to a city like this and get treated, you know, in the best city in the world, as far as I'm concerned, if you've got these issues. But she did say she was happy to send Andrew Benintendi and Rafael Devers up to the Red Sox, though, and help you guys out.
Well, they've been extraordinary the last few weeks. Rafael Devers we had 3 home runs and 3 at-bats between last night and the Sunday night game of the Yankees, and nobody was talking about Benintendi for Rookie of the Year. All of a sudden, he's in the conversation. So it's exciting. It's very, you talk about gratifying. These are really, you know, the joy that Devers gets, you see it on his face. It's almost like he's playing Little League, and it's infectious.
So you think, you know, we've talked about this recently. I think when you guys took over the team, and then for another 5-6 years, the Yankees-Red Sox thing back and forth, and it kind of cooled a bit. Do you think the Red Sox-Yankees rivalry has returned, I mean, to that intense level?
Well, it was a fairly intense level. Yeah. You know, we all remember Jason Varitek and Alex Rodriguez. It's exciting for baseball. The 3 games in New York, they were exciting. You know, we lost the first game, but the second game, you know, we pounded the Yankees, and the third game was a terrific come-from-behind victory. And what's great is they're coming to our house this weekend, and you know, I'm very positive about our team. They've had some ups and downs, but our pitching has held up, and I think we have the best pitching staff,
best ERA, yeah.
Best ERA in the American League, which we haven't had in a bunch of years, and I think our offense is now clicking. So I'm very confident that we're going to be playing in October. Anyway, hopeful, knock on wood, wherever that is.
Sometimes guys come to Boston and they struggle in their first year. One guy who hasn't is Chris Sale, and a big reason why the ERA is the way it is for the staff. Even you guys have to be a little surprised about just how dominant he has been.
Well, I don't think, I mean, we expected great things from Chris, but he certainly has taken to this team and this city, and it's fun to watch him play. He pitches quickly. He is dominant, and you get spoiled because when he gives up a run, you're saying, well, why isn't he pitching a shutout? But it's exciting, and he's got a lot of grit. It's great to watch.
See, now you talked about he gets the ball and throws it. I'm one of those pace of play guys. I like it when they get it and throw it. How do you feel about the pace of? Because I've heard the commissioner talking about picking up the pace of play as well.
Well, we're working on it, and we've obviously slid a little bit this year. The pace of play is not what it should be. I do think that we're going to make some changes, and hopefully we can see it slide down. These games are exciting, but I come from a time when the game was at 2.5 hours, and then you'd go home. And I think we've got some work to do. It's not so much the action, it's the time between action. And we're even looking at, in some ways, and trying to take an experiment and see if we can limit the number of mound visits. So we're talking about changes, and the game is a great game, but games can afford to change. And basketball didn't have a play clock, and then
right.
it did. And you can see that anything that we can do anyway to make the period of inaction shorter would be great.
And I've never said this before, though, but make sure the changes aren't too radical, because it's still baseball. It's still baseball. No, you still have to. There are some people who want changes to baseball, and they want the games to be shorter. And if the games are shorter, you know what? They still won't watch it because they don't like baseball.
I understand that. We're not going to go.
But I've never said that. That's the first time I've ever said anything.
I've heard
these guys haven't heard this.
We got it. Yeah.
I've heard of people say they want a 7-inning game. I'm not for that.
Right.
Well, Tom, we can't thank you guys enough.
Well, we have one thing I want to say before I leave.
Take your time.
Well, each year, the Red Sox partners come together, and we have almost 100% participation, and we come together as a group to not only donate to this great cause, but to hopefully have someone out there match this. And this year, the partners have pledged $175,000.
Wow.
So we are very committed to continuing our bit of contribution for this, and I want to thank all of our partners who've joined in this very generous pledge.
Thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate it. It's good to see you again.
And we want to thank the
Great to
partners,
see
too.
Yeah,
we want to thank them, too, because that just, our numbers just did a little...
let's go.
Our numbers just did a little jump.
What are we up to?
$1,101,074. But that's not including not including what you guys came
so
up
we're
with.
almost $1.3 million then.
Yeah, that's close.
There it is.
All right.
Now,
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you, Tom.
Now, in a way, it's probably good that our time is now up, because we don't have to talk about that disappointing single point that Liverpool got over the weekend.
Oh, Dale, come on.
Yes, but
It
Dale,
was disappointing.
Dale, if you're up to date, you know that Liverpool beat Hoffenheim 2-1. In
I was here today. I was here all day today. So.
See, Dale's not up to date, but I need you to do me a favor too, because Dale mentioned Annie and her folks own the Portland Sea Dogs, and Dale bounced a pitch. He threw out the first pitch.
Yeah, I did. I bounced.
And we can't find the video, so if you could talk to some of your sources and come up with that video, we really would appreciate it.
I know somebody who knows somebody.
Okay, all right, we got you.
Oh,
Right.
Tom, look at the time.
We're gonna have this
within the hour.
Good to see you again. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on.
Tom Werner, representing the Red Sox ownership group.